Islam, Mars. Just rise and do the prayer. For all the new people, you could watch if you don't want to partake. Face the east, 5 on the left, 2 on the right. Allah, Father of the universe, Father of love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. Allah is my protector, my guide, and my salvation. By night and by day, through his holy prophet, noble Juali, Islam. Give thanks, Laurel.
Right? Huh? You owe me huh? You know, I know that. I have dealt with that kind of answer before.
You don't have to say. You know what I have to say about that, dollar?
What?
Your soon time. To be proclaimed in every meeting. I hereby inform all members that they must put an end to all radical and agitating speeches while at work, in their homes, or on the streets. We are for peace and not destruction. Stop flashing your cards at Europeans. It causes confusion. Remember, your card is for your salvation. Failure to obey these orders will be of severe consequence. We are for love, truth, peace, freedom, and when these principles are violated, justice must then take its course. Any member or group of members who hold malicious feelings toward the temple or the prophet, or violate the divine covenant of the Moorish movement, will receive their reward from Allah for their unjust deeds. All true Moors will and must obey the laws as laid down to them by their prophet. If they lose confidence in their prophet, they should turn in their card and button, cease wearing their turban and fez, and return to the state where I, the prophet, found you. This is a holy and divine movement founded by the prophet Noble Juali, and if the prophet is not right, the temple is not right. The prophet therefore is sending out a divine plea to all Moorish Americans that they do their part in protecting their prophet and the temple. This is an everlasting movement founded by the prophet through the will of Allah to redeem his people from their sinful ways. Noble Juali. To be proclaimed at every meeting. Islam. I am glad to know that I have a few faithful Moors among you all, and I desire for them to know the truth and the divine truth. There is a host of jealousy about me and the movement now by the same people of our side of the nation that claim I was only a joke and unreal. But now, since they have found out from the government officials and the nations of the earth that this is the only sole foundation that all Asiatics must depend upon for their earthly salvation as American citizens, they are working every scheme that they can to disqualify me, so they may take charge of the situation. I have notified all these things to you long ago in the past. It is through the faithful Moors that attribute to the movement and uplifting funds. The ones that paid their divine respect to me and the movement will be remembered. That is why I am calling upon all faithful Moors to increase their faithfulness to me, your prophet, and your divine Moorish movement. I need finance and I need it badly. Never before have I needed finance so badly as I do at present, so I can shove aside the discord that is facing the nation. It all comes through jealousy because of my fame and nobility. The nations of the world will not recognize the movement without I, the prophet, being head. It has been proven by my works, which I have performed in the past few years. Prophet Noble Juali, Islam. In the welcome everybody. In the Holy Quran of the Moorish Science Temple of America, in the introduction, the lessons of this pamphlet are not for sale, but for the sake of humanity, as I am a prophet and the servant is worthy of his hire. You can receive this pamphlet at expense. The reason these lessons have not been known is because the Muslims of India, Egypt, and Palestine had these secrets and kept them back from the outside world. And when the time appointed by Allah, they loosened the keys and freed these secrets. And for the first time in ages, have these secrets been delivered in the hands of the Muslims of America. All authority and rights of publishing of this pamphlet of 1927. So Noble Drew Ali made a reference to us as Muslim and the information coming from Muslim. And we would have this always come up when we start talking about Islam, Allah, and Quran. The Muslims of India, Egypt, and Palestine, not just what they would consider quote unquote Muslim countries. The Muslims of India, Egypt, and Palestine, also giving us the key of the origin that the Ashkenazis are claiming as their own. Because you will not even hear Palestine mentioned unless it's from people who are fighting for that. Other than that, they're talking about some Jewish word. So one of these Muslims of India, Lord Krishna, and the one of the divine ministers will say of this idea of Krishna consciousness, Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. And this is consciousness, the missing link. But I remember we're talking about the people that would be normally classified as the Hindus, and then they have all these different animals as their gods or whatever. But their foundational lessons are based in what they got from their ancestors, where when we check the Hindu culture, they always have to mention the Mauryan dynasties or empire. Right? And then remember, the same Mauryan that they're repping is the same Mauryan who are the high priests of Anu, which is why they would say this is why Noble Jolly would make the reference of the Muslims of Egypt. Because according to quote unquote black scholars, the Egyptians, they were studying chematology, ancient mystery schools, which shouldn't have anything to do with Islam. And in making reference to these Egyptians being Muslim, and then we go to the high priest of Anu, which is ancient Egypt, and the high priests were called Moor, there has to be some type of acceptance. In order to get to the next level, there has to be the acceptance that Islam is really where it's at as far as your spiritual enlightenment, where you want to be. Because everybody is recognized as to being part of Islam. So you can go to, you can look up an article by Qasim Rashid, Qasim Rashid. And the article is called The Honorable Lord Krishna, a Prophet of Allah. First, the Quran is the only ancient scripture that specifically mentions and praises other faiths, while the Quran mentions Jews and Christians specifically. In numerous places, likewise, it mentions Hindus in a group known as Sabians. Sabians refer to non-Abrahamic traditions, Hindus, Buddhists, Zoroastrians, Taoists, etc. Thus, recognition of Hinduism exists in the Quran. So the consciousness, the missing link. In the first part of this book, the basic principles of this science are discussed in a conversation between His Divine Grace, Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, the world's foremost authority on Vedic philosophy, and Dr. George Benford, a professor of physics from the University of California. Prabhupada points out that Vedic principles, when properly understood, do not conflict with the factual findings of modern Western science. He observes, however, that the predominant perspective of modern science is too narrow, and that scientists err when they jump to the conclusion that their present picture of reality is complete in its essential features. He suggests that scientists can extend and perfect their understanding by systematically taking into account the higher principles of the Vedic science of self-realization. So when you're talking about Muslims, you're talking about self-realization. I, self-law, and master. When you're talking about Muslims, you're talking about self-realization, Allah. Arm, leg, arm, head. Man realizing that him and the higher force is one thing. Right? As you research Lord Krishna, and then you find out about his connection, you see that they recognize him as a prophet, but they also recognize him as a God. He's on multiple different levels, right? This teacher is presenting in this chapter the goal of knowledge. He's pretending the idea that, same thing that Brother Kaba brought out, that spirituality and science are related. Science is just the physical manifestation of spirituality. And then this transcends all different cultures, all different religions. And again, going back to the fact that what Noble Drew Ali presented to the Moors in America was this exact replica of this ancient information put in a form for them to be able to realize their divine beings and start exercising from that place moving forward, opposed to where it is that we were. Yeah, brother.
I was going to ask you maybe some discussion on how the science of Islam, which is supposed to, I guess, be there for our
salvation or reformation, what particular modalities of that science are there to help that process?
And can you explain? Or can you maybe elaborate? Or maybe
point us in a direction for our own study?
So the best thing to do is use Noble Drew Ali, since he mentioned to us these things relative to quote unquote Islam or a Muslim perspective, whatever, right? The reference of Islam with him led us into a broader jurisdiction than just Islam. If we really understood the message that he was really presenting to us.
Right, so I was only trying to say from that perspective, as that being the gateway to
right. What are some of the
what would those things be? What would some of those sciences or sort of practices, modalities that would help, since we're coming at this from the perspective of trying to help our people,
right.
Help our people get back to that higher standard of
being. Right. So on the lowest level, we just go to the Holy Quran, and then we go from the chapters that Noble Drew Ali presented, not the Aquarian Gospel chapters.
Right.
But we go with starting at chapter 20. Right. So if the sick individual we're trying to fix is a young man, then holy instruction and warnings for all young men. They take these lessons, apply these lessons, guaranteed their life's gonna change. Right? A victim of circumstance being somebody that's married and they don't know how to deal with it. Chapter 21. Marriage instructions for man and wife from the noble prophet. They read these things, apply these things, and guaranteed there's going to be a change. There's going to be a shift for these individuals into a higher standard of being. And again, this is, we could, read these, but like you said, it's for people studying, right? So chapter 20, chapter 21. If the device being used to stray somebody is disobedience, then you go to chapter 24, the obedience of children toward their father. And then as mother and father, you take these lessons, which is supposed to make your children obedient, you apply it because it's knowledge, and the application is really what it is that it's about, not the intake of what we feel, right?
Hey, bro, what do you want me to do? Can you take it? All right.
So I'll put it in the closet here for now.
If it's a societal issue. Right? If it's something that's going on that you're witness to between, let's say somebody abusing their authority in a hierarchy, you have holy instructions from the prophet, master, and servant. You give the master the lesson, you give the servant the lesson, and then now they have a guideline as to how this relationship could work without somebody taking some type of position that they're higher because of finance or mindset or car or whatever, right? And again, like you're saying, you know, the secrets are within those chapters. That once you go into those chapters, things will be revealed to the individual receiving the message. And this again is going back to the idea that it's Islam. Right? That answer the question, right?
Yeah, definitely. I was thinking a follow-up question that would be, what things do you see in there, and how those instructions are given to our people? Which ones do you see being some of the ones that we as a community seem not to be, or at least that other community out there, sort of, you know, the ones that are recognizing their heritage or their religion? What specific places there, or you know, maybe the top three that you see that we're not adhering to, but maybe if we did, would really, if there is something like that, so that you can point out, that would really help us get back on point.
Well, one would be instructional focus on the children with regard to this information, because if they're the future, then why wait for them to get this? Give it to them as soon as possible so they have access to this information.
You're saying to go get back on it,
right?
Getting the children.
Yeah. Because we could only do so much with people who are quote unquote older.
How would that be played out? You're saying like giving them books.
As small as having do what Fred Hampton did, have a breakfast program.
What?
Just morning, Saturday, Friday, Sunday, whatever. And you administer these lessons to the children while you give them some breakfast.
Right. Oh, all right.
And it's open to anybody who's a child or anybody who Saturday needs a babysitter and they want to go get one and send them to the Moors. Because we have a breakfast program, right? Because remember, that was the whole point. Wow. Their whole point was get this info to the children, let the children know who they are. They weren't trying to get no adults to convert or change anything. Because they already know that with all the mixing of the spirits and the truth and falsehood strangely mixed, you'll get way more children to follow the Pied Piper than adults. Especially if you have something lucrative to offer.
Well, sorry, say that last part again.
The idea of the children getting the information,
right?
You would have a better turnout going after them than trying to go after the adults.
And then what did you say after that? I thought you said something after that to qualify that or to expound on that. Was that because they were? Did you say, or that was the last?
That was
okay. Because I thought you said something that to me I felt that yes, that makes them much more susceptible or much more maybe willing to take stuff on because as adults you have been preconditioned. But I also felt on a certain level, because he made mention, I think, of the Pied Piper. I don't think he was I think in the story he's not really a
not really, well, exactly. If he can get them with some negative, just play some music and got them.
Right.
They do that now to get them.
I know, but I'm saying part of it where I think there could be the opposite to that is the advantage of being an adult. You're also more seasoned and steeled against some of this corruption.
But this is why it's about who is putting the call out for these young people and these children. Yeah, because the ones who are making the call aren't going to be the ones that are wayward.
The ones that are making the call.
The ones who are saying, bring the children to our stuff, are not going to be the ones who are against nature and against, they're going to be for those things. They're going to be directly against corruption.
You're hoping, because there's lots of calls that we know already for
and we already know that because they don't have a nationality, who cares what they say and what they do? It's going nowhere.
Well, you're talking about that from that perspective.
It might not be intentional, but the fact that they say black school, it's going nowhere. You're wasting time. No matter how much children they got in there,
you're talking
they're still going back to the.
You're talking about getting from the first principle, I. You're saying we got to get to the I first.
You got to get to self-realization. But if they realize self now, then we don't have to worry later about.
Yeah. But I'm saying that you made the statement in my mind that you said that anyone who's making that call is always going to be for a positive thing.
Yeah, but no, because I'm saying it's fezzes and turbans that should be making that call.
Yeah.
Should be nobody else.
Right.
That should be the only ones. It's like when we were we go like when for example when locks just started coming in, right? And that was negative and it's dirty and now everybody got it. It's not even an issue now. Everybody's game for locks now when that used to be the dirty or whatever.
You pay a lot of money to
go lock up and all that stuff.
I was just talking about this a couple days ago. They thought it was dirty, but then you go to administrative buildings, buses,
you see it there.
Everywhere.
Everybody's on it right now. Right?
Amari. Rogers, everywhere. Yeah. The mall, security, Bobo.
So I say that to say that they're gonna have to come to us. They're gonna have to come to the Most High.
So they think
they're gonna have to come to the Moors. They're gonna have to get whatever they want to get done for the people to be in the place where the people can actually do something with what they got. They're gonna have to come to the Moors.
So is it like a vibration that most Moors picked up from like the 80s and 70s again? Like just ruin the hair.
Yeah, I mean it's the same frequency of tying a t-shirt on your head, and that's a turban. You know what I mean? Like they're not looking at it like that's a turban, but that's what that was.
Yeah, but they mainly still push the quote unquote bald-headed dude right on mainstream TV.
Yeah,
there's always some bald-headed dude, clean shaved, no hair at all, and if he's locked, he's kind of like feminine locks type of.
Right, like Vidal Sassoon locks.
That's my
yeah. And then even when you go back to it, you go look back at Krishna and all that, he had there, Joshua had there. Say we never seen what Muhammad looked like and all that stuff, but pretty sure he had boys.
Yeah, that's true.
And then of course Buddha had, because you had the China bumps and all that stuff. So you already know that Buddha was there ain't no European hair. Chinese people here, you're doing more China bumps.
Yeah, growing up even in so-called church, you know, like all those pictures in the Bible, I never seen one dude with the haircut or clean shave.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Right. So we'll go to this dialogue between this Dr. Benford, and Prabhupada. And again, when you hear mention of Krishna, God, whatever like that, relate those things to how we're supposed to be reading it, right? With our perspective, or Moorish perspective, so that we can, like what you say, pick up the vibe of the Moorish lessons that are in this. By, instead of this is Krishna, it's putting over Jwali in reading it, because this is spiritual work. And again, we're saying that all the religions recognize all the prophets. So you should be able to do all of them like that. Take this prophet out of this religion, put him in that one. And it shouldn't even be any different. Everything should match up right along. It's just under a different name. It's take the same thing with the God. Take the God, put that God over there, put that God over there, and then you read the Bible, and everywhere it says God and Christ, you put Muhammad, and it should be the same stuff.
So it's the unity in that.
It's supposed to be there. As soon as it's not there, you already know, oh yeah, these people are trying to play games. Right? Dr. Benford, you seem to place emphasis on what knowledge does for you. What about the sheer joy of discovering how nature works? For example, now we think that we understand matter like this. It indicates the grass on which they are sitting. We think that we know from experiments, theory, and analysis that it is made up of particles that we cannot see, and we can analyze the properties of it through experiment. We know that it is made up of molecules. We understand some of the forces that hold it together. And this is the first time we knew this. We didn't know it before. Srila. So I'll just relate them as Doctor and Srila. Srila. But what is the benefit? Although you know every particle of this grass, what benefit is derived out of it? The grass is growing. It will grow with or without your knowledge. You may know it or not know it, but it will not make any difference. Anything you like, you may study from a material, analytical point of view. Any nonsense thing you take, you can study and compile a voluminous book. But what will be the use of it? Suppose I take this grass. I can write volumes of books. When it came into existence, when it died, what are the fibers, what are the molecules? In so many ways I can describe this insignificant foliage. But what is the use of it? Doctor, if it has no use, why did God put it there? Isn't it worthwhile studying? Srila, our point is that you would rather study the insignificant grass than the God who had created everything. If you could understand him, automatically you would study the grass. But if you would separate his grass from him to study it separately, in this way, you can compile volumes and volumes on the subject. But why waste your intelligence in that way? The branch of a tree is beautiful as long as it is attached to the main trunk. But as soon as you cut it off, it will dry up. Therefore, what is the use of studying the dried up branch? It is a waste of intelligence. If anybody has thoughts on any of these, just jump in.
It's just heavy.
Yeah, really.
Doctor, but why is it a waste? Srila, certainly it is a waste because the result is not useful. Right? Which goes back to the same thing of if we're gaining all this knowledge about our nationality and our birthrights or whatever, there has to be some type of application. It can't just be post stuff online and that's it. We're Moors because we have a page. There has to be something happening as a Moor that qualifies the fact that you have this knowledge. You know, some people it's being what they know. That, you know, they're doing for themselves, they're finding themselves, they're whatever. Other people, it's a training. It's a trying to figure out how to go, where to go. Because again, majority of our people, including Moors, are here for their own purpose and their own reasons. And once we get individuals who are on the same consciousness, then these reasons that we're working for now go for a bigger thing than just an individual realization. It's a group self-realization. When we look at like we were talking about earlier, somebody who's quote unquote Islamic, and then they come and talk to the Moors, and they're like, "What do you mean you have a prophet and his name's not Muhammad? And what do you mean Quran and you're not using the Q and all that stuff? What do you mean?" But as soon as you tell them, "Oh, well, we're not," that's not the Islam that we're talking about. We're talking about mystical Islam. We're talking about Islam that when Bilal was around with Muhammad. We're not talking about you guys who say you know Muhammad. We're talking about the guys who were with that guy that showed us the level that he's really on. He wasn't on this mundane stuff like how you guys are playing it. But you know, everybody's entitled to their own position. Everybody's entitled to their own lane. Right? But if the slow lane crosses into the fast lane, you get run over. You're not slowing down for you or whatever like that. Right? You're not having the opportunity to break and move back over or whatever like that. You're just done for. Next time, you learn to don't even go on in that lane. And again, this is where Moors are. Why, you know, people really don't get it, because this thing is like if Moors are in tune with really what's going on, you're looking at you're getting, when you look at the information that's being put out now. Stuff that's being put out now is the same stuff that Noble Jawali said that these people had in their secret chambers and they're not revealing to people. The Muslims, of India, Palestine, Egypt, America. There's also Muslims over here revealing stuff too. They're called Moorish Americans. They got more science sample. They had information in the attic chamber that they were holding back from people. So this thing's going on everywhere right now. That, you know, getting closer to the one realization, right? First principles of love. That's across the board. As anybody that's a righteous human being, love. I'll put that as number one. After that, they definitely want the truth. All these things happening is right now letting us know the time that we're in right now, as far as Moors are concerned. Right? Why is knowledge of myself better than knowledge of a plant? Doctor. That was Dr. Srila. If you understand what you are, then you understand other things. It is useful to know yourself and what you are. That is important. I am a spirit soul. I am passing through so many species of life. But what is my position? I don't wish to die because I'm afraid to change bodies. Therefore, I'm afraid of death. The question should be raised first. I don't want unhappiness, but unhappiness comes. I don't want death, but death comes. I don't want disease, but disease comes. I don't want to become an old man, but it comes anyway. What is the reason that these things are coming by force despite my desires to the contrary? If I am forced, what is that force and why am I under this force? Who is enforcing these things? These things I do not know, but these are the real problems. I don't want excessive heat, but there is excessive heat. I have to take shelter of electronic technology, a refrigerator, a cooler. Why? Who is enforcing these things? Why are they being enforced? I don't want this heat. What have I done? These are real questions, not just the study of foliage and writing volumes of books. That is a waste of energy. Study yourself. You don't want suffering, but why is it forced upon you? Who is enforcing? Why am I forcing? These things you do not know. Doctor, it is worthwhile then to try to stop excessive heat, say, or disease. Srila, you may want to stop the heat, but you cannot. Your scientific knowledge is not so perfect that you can stop the heat. Therefore, somebody is enforcing this. This is the right subject matter of thinking. Why am I being forced? Who is the enforcer? I don't want this heat, therefore I shall make an air conditioner. But that is only a temporary arrangement. You are scientifically advanced enough to manufacture nice medicine. So why can't you stop disease? Doctor, we don't understand it well enough. Srila, therefore you are a fool. As soon as you don't understand, you are a fool. Doctor, can you stop yourself from being an old man? Srila, not immediately, but we are undergoing the process to stop it. Just like a man who is being treated for some disease. He is still suffering, but the fact that he is being treated means that he is going to stop it. Everyone would like to, but you are not practicing the real procedure for stopping it. Doctor, but I don't want to suffer. Why is this necessary? Srila, it is because of the laws of nature. We are stealing from Krishna, trying to enjoy independently of Krishna. Therefore, we are being punished by the laws of nature. It is not that Krishna wants us to suffer. He does not like to punish us, but it is necessary in order to reform our character. A thief does not very much appreciate the police department, and he is thinking, why do they stop me from stealing? But it is required. Devotee, but why can't the police department just explain to the thief what he is doing wrong? Srila, because he is a rascal. He will not listen. Law and order are for everyone. This is law and order, and everyone must obey. Similarly, the laws of nature are enforced by the demigods as representatives of Krishna. Everyone must obey or be punished. You may not like it, but it is the law. Therefore, there is so much pain. And again, relating again Noble Jwali's lesson that only time Moors learn is when they're feeling pain. Right? The laws of nature are enforced by demigods as representatives of Krishna. Everyone must obey or be punished. No Jwali laying down certain laws. putting certain things in writing, making statements that we have seen those things that he said that nobody else said manifest. To know that, okay, yeah, there's definitely representatives out here who are sent by the higher forces to make sure that every individual has their perspective checked by something that's greater than them or someone that's greater than them. So that you're never supposed to fall off. Because as soon as you're about to fall off, there's supposed to be that thing there, and sorry, and then you're supposed to get right back on it. And there's people taking the position of not seeing the lesson, missing the angel, trying to bring something to them because they're distracted into other things, which is what the whole point is about the phenomenology of know thyself. That when you put time into knowing yourself, that keeps you out of so much other stuff that would more than likely distract or destroy you. That you realize the importance of why Noble Drew even made that statement. Put it in the Quran, first page, know thyself. And thy Father God Allah. When you know Allah, then you know yourself. Because you and Allah are one being. It's in a different form. Doctor, why is all this happening then? What are we trying to attain? Why are we going through so much pain? Srila, because you are not advancing beyond the bodily conception of life. You are simply advancing from one pain to another pain. But if you want to get out of pain, then you have to take to Krishna consciousness and surrender to Krishna. That is our proposition. Right? Same thing that Morrissey. Don't stop feeling pain and all that stuff. Declare your nationality. These people leave you alone tomorrow. But they jump from one pain to another pain. They jump from one devil bothering them to another devil bothering them. Then another devil bothering them. Now they got 500 devils to deal with. They don't know how to deal with any of them because none of them are studying the higher sciences. None of them are studying meditation, yoga, nothing like that. None of them are studying astrology. None of them are really taking serious the higher lessons. They're just looking at the mundane lessons. And then a blue guy comes out named Shiva and they're, oh my God, you can't listen to him or whatever like that, when this is letting Hindus get on track. This is letting Muslims in India get on track. And our people deny all that, but they're going to go with Asar, who was a green guy. They'll listen to him. But they won't listen to Krishna, who's a direct replica of Osiris in a different culture. Don't suffer pain after pain. Stop it and surrender to Krishna. That is our proposition. Everyone is trying to stop pain, both animals and man, in science and in ordinary work also. That is the real struggle. There is pain, and the struggle is to stop pain. And people take this struggle as happiness. But the real happiness, real ecstasy, permanent ecstasy, is there in the spiritual world where there is no pain. This material happiness is called Maya or illusion. And then go to Mayans. Know that they're not the people who built those stuff. They're an illusion. Hence they're Mayan. Stuff predate them. Just like they said, the Sabians. Sabians because of Saba, to Shiva, which goes back to ancient times. So these are modern things that, you know, somebody wrote this book, just came and then they put this thing down. This is stuff that, this goes back. And again, these secrets were held back from the world. And the Asiatics in America got an opportunity through Noble Drew Ali, who was Egyptian adept, which means that he had all that info, and presented it to the Moors in America that they're not Negro, black, colored, broad, and all that stuff. Brought them back into their religion, Islam, so that they can have this information now without having to fight to get it, like how the black guys have to fight to get some info, or fight not to accept certain info. Now you look at the fight that so-called slave master fought the black guy because he didn't want him to learn his culture, right? They're doing that today on their own, fighting with Moors. Like they on their own are saying, be me and that door, you're not gonna learn none of this. And they just got the stuff to their own self, like. But saying that, oh, the white man knew something and whatever. When really, you know, the free white person is really who the white man is, which goes back again to them doing it to themselves. The white man did it. Instead of saying the black guy did it. And switch the frequency. Doctor, why does a person like me, who is trying to understand the world rationally, find no way in which to do so? Srila, yes, you are trying to know the world rationally, but you are not going to the proper teacher. Doctor, there are learned men in the world who simply study nature. Srila, still, you require an experienced teacher. Of course you can learn anything from nature, but not everyone is so intelligent that he can study nature properly. For example, if you study nature, why do you speculate that everything is void after death? Nature is not void. It is full of varieties. Therefore, your study of nature is imperfect. Nature is not void, for we are sitting here surrounded by varieties. Varieties of flowers, varieties of leaves, varieties of plants. If you say that nature is void, then your study of nature is not perfect. Doctor, I guess we don't understand it yet. Srila, that is your ignorance, but you cannot say it is void. You feel, but not others. Don't say we. Doctor, we scientists, Srila, but there are other scientists who understand things differently. You are not the only scientist. Doctor, but I feel that if I study the world, there is a way to check my conclusions. You study the world and you think that you understand the physical process, and then you perform experiments to verify your ideas, and then you see if you can apply the physical process in the world. Srila, that is another ignorance, because you do not know that you are imperfect. Oh, I know that I am not perfect. Then why is it the use of your researching in this way? If you are imperfect, the result will also be imperfect. So why waste your time in this way? Therefore, you have to approach the right teacher who will show you. In order to become a scientist, you have to go to university to find a professor who can instruct you. A teacher is required also, or you cannot get your degree, is it not? So when you want to learn something, you have to approach a teacher. And if the teacher is perfect, then you get perfect knowledge. This is the process. If the teacher is only another rascal like you, when whatever knowledge he may give you is useless. The teacher must be perfect. He must have real knowledge. Then he can teach. Therefore, the process is that you have to find out a perfect teacher. If you are fortunate and you get such a perfect teacher, then you can learn everything. But if you approach a teacher who is as blind as you are, then you don't learn anything. And again, that's going back to when you look at this idea of the perfect teacher. When we look at after Noble Drew Ali, and we have CMB and Hakeem, Taj, Aleem, and all these people, Sister Raz and these people. These are individuals who had real knowledge. Everybody has knowledge, but who has real knowledge? Who has knowledge that you're actually able to take and apply to your life, and then it does something? It's only with people who are studying that real knowledge do you have that experience. It is only just like Brother Hannibal was saying, that there's people who, the stuff that we teach as Moors, just to people, there's people in certain orders or whatever, they're paying for that per seminar. 1,000, 2,000, 5,000 seminar to learn some Siri, whatever. Right? So the individual, you know, the concept of perfect teacher is not perfect as in, you know, unscathed. The perfect teacher equals one who has right knowledge. Because that knowledge is, you're supposed to be able to take that knowledge, apply it, and then the stuff worked, and then now you gotta wreck that teacher, because if I do like this and break the concrete, the guy who taught me that, okay. Because anybody can teach you to do that, but it might not break if you do that. Your hand might break. Hand might break. These words. Doctor, you cannot find out anything about Krishna by studying science. Srila, there is nothing but Krishna. There is nothing else except Krishna. Doctor, but if we study the physical world, we study the work of Krishna. Srila, yes, but you don't know Krishna. You don't say as a rule that you are studying the work of Krishna because you don't know Krishna. You avoid Krishna. Yes, that is fact, but you do not know Krishna. You simply know the grass. But I know the grass and Krishna both. Therefore, I am better than you. Doctor, then we cannot find anything out about Krishna by simply studying the grass. Srila, then you are limited to grass and know nothing beyond that. It is true but limited. Relative truth. In the Vedanta Sutra, the first statement is, now in this human form of life, let us inquire about the origin of everything. Not to study the relative truth, but the absolute truth. That is the business of the human form of life. Doctor, but how do I know this is true? Srila, that you have to learn from the teacher. That is the process. Knowledge is also available. When you wanted to learn science, what did you do? You found out a suitable teacher. If you can find a competent teacher, then everything can be understood. Everything can be demonstrated by experiment. Everything. Yes, it can be demonstrated. It is demonstrated. When you get a seed and sow it, a big tree comes from the seed. That is demonstration. How can you say that it is not demonstration? The seed is the cause and the tree is the effect. That is demonstration. Krishna says, I am the seed. The seed is Krishna. I am the original seed of all existences. Bhagavad Gita 7:10. As soon as we see the seed, we see Krishna. Krishna says, I am the seed. So how can you say you cannot see Krishna? You can see Krishna. It is not a mystery, it is fact. Krishna says, I am the seed. I have heard it before from Krishna. Therefore, when I see a seed, I am seeing Krishna. How can you say you are not perceiving Krishna? You see Krishna according to Krishna's direction. Why do you persist in trying to see Krishna in your own way? Krishna says, I am the light of the sun and the moon. As soon as you see the sunshine, you are seeing Krishna. Why do you say you don't see Krishna? What is your reason? There are so many things you do not know. Therefore, you have to learn from the teacher, Krishna, because you do not know and you do not care for Krishna. Therefore, your knowledge is imperfect. And then relate knowledge is imperfect to the Holy Quran chapter, insufficiency of knowledge, so that you can put the relations in recognizing, the teachings of the Muslims in India and all that stuff. Nobody delivered those stuff to us, and it's for our earthly salvation and spiritual salvation. Doctor, the thing that bothers me most is that it seems to be necessary to accept things blindly. Srila, yes, because our brains are imperfect. The child, when he is learning mathematics from his teacher, has no power to question or to protest. How has 2 + 2 become 4? He doesn't inquire. He simply accepts and becomes learned. That is the process. You cannot ask how Krishna has made this seed. What is the chemical arrangement, the complete arrangement, so that the tree is coming out? It is coming out whether you understand it or not. Therefore, you know that Krishna is perfect. You cannot ask how the tree is coming out, nor is it within your power to understand how it is coming out. And we definitely relate that to people who look at declaring their nationality from not applying the process. And then they have some type of perspective that they're going to give as to why this works or doesn't work or whatever. You ever proclaim your nationality? What do you mean you got an opinion on what this is? How are you taking the position of you want to understand, or you understand how the seed becomes a tree? No way. Even if you were told it, you wouldn't understand it, as far as the outside. But when you and Allah are one, then you and everything in creation is one. And then you can have a perspective as to why this thing does what it does. And then taking that and then applying it to yourself, which is where Jewel Pookrum was going with 7 circuits of the brain. And then all the 7 circuits of the brain attaching to different elements in nature that you can apply that. So you want reptilian, you cut your hand off, grow your hand back. It's not, you just tap into the reptilian brain. You want to astral project, you just tap into whatever part of the brain, the different animals camouflage themselves in nature. That's why the military got that for the nanotechnology and all that. They're taking nature and then finding a physical, just like we were talking about with the food and all that. That they got they can create flavors in nature, and now it's a drop of whatever. Now flavor of whatever is just a drop. Without the thing that is the origin, like synthetic version of a flavor. Right?
So about like kung fu masters and stuff, like how they study like snakes and
right, even that, and you study that to the point where you become that.
And their understanding of the gods, like their chi, their inner power, their inner strength, like make them do all those, running across trees and
yeah. Tapping into higher consciousness. There's no different than with Bruce Lee's. It'd be like water. It should be like water. Some stuff's in trouble.
Yeah, I just thought about the Peter Pan thing and how he couldn't fly or whatever, and they were like, you gotta think of something that makes you like happy, or like something that that would be like the tapping in, because
right,
that source of happiness can only come from above. You want to look at it,
right,
or within.
Now again, coming to the realization that everything's inward. Like it's not really this way.
That's where I came from.
You even came from inward.
20 years ago, I was like this thought,
Right. Therefore, you know that Krishna is perfect. You cannot ask how the tree is coming out, nor is it within your power to understand how it is coming out. That is Krishna's power. You scientists are just like children. The child is asking, how is it that from this tape recorder so many sounds are coming out? He cannot understand it. It is useless for him to try to understand it at the present stage of his development. But it is a fact that behind the mechanical arrangement of the tape recorder is a big science and a big brain. Similarly, the seed is undoubtedly a wonderful arrangement. Even though you cannot understand how a big tree is coming out from the tiny seed, still it is wonderful. And there is a brain, a wonderful brain behind all this that you have to accept. So the main business of human life is to understand Krishna. For that purpose, there must be scientific method to understanding when human society is perfect. That is our propaganda. We do not say that you must accept religion and God by sentiment. No, accept it through philosophical and scientific inquiry. That is our propaganda. You shouldn't be a sentimental fanatic and accept blindly. You should try to understand this science of Krishna consciousness. So I am very glad to meet you, Dr. Benford. I want all scientists and philosophers to try to understand Krishna in their own way. That will be the perfection of their learning. You're a real scientist when you explain Krishna scientifically. That is your perfection. Doctor, I came today because I wanted to see if there are any similarities between your teachings and the findings of civics. Srila, that you will learn if you associate with us. Sarapu Damadara here is also a scientist, and he's now learning the science of Krishna consciousness. Now you can deviate him from Krishna consciousness. He's become firmly convinced, yet he's also a bona fide scientist. He's not a fool or a fanatic. You can relate that to these situations when Moors, we use, if we just say in public somewhere, then there's a Moor and somebody who's classified Negro, black, colored, and then a national from another country. And the engagement between the Moor and the national and the Moor and the black individual is different. Totally different.
Mother and child.
Right? And the quote unquote black individual is not gonna look at the arrangement and question the Moor like, hey, I just saw that intercourse between you and this individual. How can I get down with what you know? How can I get this true knowledge? So I can have a better understanding of why we're not black. Not just that we're not black and we were colored, but why is it that we're not that? And then using these things, you know, for them to get to a higher place, for them to understand the noble duality consciousness.
Yeah, but like it's wild though, because like the black mind is kind of like it's a premature, it's the child mind that was just created. It's the newest creation, if you want to say that. And tapping into the Moorish information is like the bigger, the oldest brain of the information that was compiled, that was already there, like when they're saying about the electronics or whatever, you know, like a child or somebody that has no experience in the electronics, they have no understanding even to, if they never experienced it, to even turn it on.
Right. Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And then to look at the human being and to study the human being and not realize there's a big brain behind that technology itself, right, which would be the most high. You know what I'm saying? That I love the way how that was put together.
How it's put together, yeah. And again, it's like, you know, it's only because we have a Moorish mindset. Why, when we get this, it's being received on a different vibration. You know, it's being received from a higher place. Because like I said, you know, if we were black, we would have the child mind. Now we're gonna read this stuff, we're like, just whatever. They would mention ancient Egypt in here and all that type of stuff. It's like they didn't say nobody's black and all that, and they get mad. Say this is not for them. When stuff in here would line them up quick, fast. Right?
They could read on Bellow.
Yeah. Says right there.
Read on Bellow. Shakespeare. They make you do it in high school. Right, so just read that. That should connect you to something.
Yeah, they got you. We have to be told that it's important. No, like in the black state of mind, like you have to be told that what is value, what this and that. So like, because their lack of experience with the mind development, like you know, like anything has to do with the world is too advanced because they're used to on the backyard or whatever.
They haven't been taught how to think for themselves. So like this is how you have to do it.
Yep.
You can't think for yourself.
Yeah, so the TV didn't mention remorse, so it doesn't matter how much other people are saying it. You know, like,
yeah. And then on another level too, there's also the omission that the omission of things that would stop them from reaching whatever or picking up on certain things. Because they never ever said in high school Othello, the Moor of Venice. They just said Othello. Like, if they don't put everything in there and you're going based on that partial learning of Othello, you could read that, you could know it verbatim and all that. It's still not going to have the same Yeah.
They should go check that out. Little snippets of the history. But they don't want to see that.
It's not in their up-to-date Bible.
Yeah. Yeah. The abridged version. Similarly, any reasonable scientist can understand Krishna consciousness. Those who are dogmatic cannot understand, but those who follow our arguments, they will understand Krishna consciousness. It is not difficult. We have books. We are not simply talking. We have dozens of books to help you understand. We means the body. The body is a product of this universe, and the universe is a product of Krishna. Therefore, the universe is not separate from Krishna. The universe is also Krishna. So when you explain universal laws with reference to Krishna, then it is perfect knowledge. The universe is one of Krishna's energies, the material energy. We living entities are also an energy of Krishna, the living energy. The combination of the living energy and the material energy is the universe. So, in one sense, the study of the universe is also the study of Krishna, but as long as you do not actually come to the point of understanding Krishna, your knowledge is imperfect. And it goes on, chapter 2 on inspiration.
That one.
Chapter 3, the computerized Mr. Jones. And chapter 4, the principle of reincarnation. If anybody have any questions, you can put those up. We're just gonna see what questions or whatever we got on here.
First one.
Knowledge is heavier than mass.
First one.
For real.
You would collect all knowledge, put it together, and weigh it. Collect all mass, put it together. Knowledge is
Which one? Which one you think?
each grain of sand.
Which one you think?
Knowledge it would take to actually make a grain of sand.
Which one you think?
You know what I mean? It's crazy.
Or the weight of knowledge is mass itself.
Yeah, it could go both ways.
The weight of knowledge is gravity itself. Mass is just illusion.
As a byproduct.
Mass is just like
That's the opposite side of the scale.
Which one?
Sis, you had any questions? You're good? All right.
Which one you think? Oh?
Yeah, and then that just brings up the other ways of seeing. You got the 7 rays of light, and
Which one?
the higher consciousness thoughts, and just the more higher up you go, there's something there.
and what maybe they was saying how
Which one?
we'll go back to the first chapter.
Which one?
Probably like the first verse. It says in the beginning was a thought. And the thought was just avoiding nothingness. The thought realized it was wrong. And also start to think more thoughts, and then
those thoughts start creating things.
Yeah,
that's nuts. That's
flow of like
yeah.
concept.
Yeah.
Which one you take?
We got a message from Jungle Stone.
Why you not saying?
Jungle Stone say, yes, I am a black Peace Stone blood from Baldwin Hills, and our leader in Mecca, Chicago, Jeff Fort, always told us to follow Prophet Noble Drew Ali. Yeah, huh?
It's a message.
Yeah. Somebody sent a message on, they left this message on one of the videos as a comment. Yeah. Right, and you know about the Peace Stones? That's a gang in Chicago. Well, Bloods, Crips, all that stuff come out of. So Jeff Fort was the leader of the Peace Stones, of the gang. And then he declared his nationality to Malik Mustafa Angel. Right, he's locked up right now because they were saying he had connections with Gaddafi. Yeah, Muammar Gaddafi. So they trump up charges on him and got him arrested. But you know, certain people could meet with Gaddafi and they're still around, but Gaddafi's dead. But certain people are still around. Yeah. So the teachings under Jeff Fort, according to this Peace Stone blood from Baldwin Hills or whatever, is that they're supposed to follow the teachings of Noble Drew Ali. As a blood, they're supposed to study that. You know? El Rukin, yeah, El Rukins. More sent this one. This is a listen to one, but this one was a interesting one. This is I think relative to the Kanye stuff. Yeah.
I said, my boy said he's crazy. I'm like, no, you're not crazy. Just
He's lacking information. That's how I feel. Like
somewhat, but he
has more to show.
No, maybe the more deep or whatever. More crazy. The certain concepts you have are important.
What you got like references? You know?
Well, here's a reference. Here's a reference for you. Don't worry, we got the reference right. This is T.I. T.I. talking about Kanye meeting, gun laws, and other stuff.
You see what I'm saying? And I noticed that, and that's what made me feel like, nah, I'm not giving up. I'm not giving up on him. I think this is a little.
What's been the feedback you've gotten from people? Because I know when we played your record, people was like T.I. standing next to Kanye. How dare he?
But check it. I don't care about what people say about me, man. You can't, you know what I'm saying? You can't challenge my pedigree. I've been putting in too much work, for too long, man. You can't do that. You know, and also, if he was on the other side, somebody, like, shouldn't we have one of us at the table? Right. Shouldn't it be at least one of us at the table?
Can we have a clear thinker, though?
Whoa. We just need, for real, we need someone with a sincere passion who's going to actually say what's on their mind. If we get somebody at the table who has enough clear thought to where they can filter what to bring back and what to keep, you see what I'm saying? That's more dangerous.
You mean someone who represents the feelings of his fans who are hurt by what he's saying? Is that what you mean?
I mean someone who can understand the plight, perhaps, and if they were at the table, they could use their care for these people and use their influence.
Which table is this? Which table is this?
I mean, the table with the cats with the red hats, I guess.
Why is that table the one we're supposed to be? Use the feelings of his fans who are hurt by what he's saying. Is that what you mean?
I mean someone who can understand the plight, perhaps, and if they were at the table, they could use their care for these people and use their
Which table is
here.
this? Which table is this?
I mean, the table with the cats with the red hats, I guess.
And why is there table?
The dumb interviewer thinks when he says table that he's talking about like someone to be able to justify Kanye's actions.
Right. And T.I. is talking about the guys who are running the stuff.
Kanye being someone like Kanye being at that table,
being at the table with the guys.
Passionate about things and who could probably use his influence.
Because he's at the table. Yeah. So he must know those guys with the red hats. So since he knows the guys with the red hats, then, that should be the guy, because who else is around the table? Ain't nobody else really around the table. But yeah, that was interesting. Just perspective.
Because he said, it really mattered him because he said the 400 years of slavery is a choice that those people made. So people are outraged at that.
It's only black guys mad, huh?
He's saying it's a choice. Like, it's like 400 years? Like that long? Of course it's a choice then. You're going to subject yourself to that.
It makes sense because we're going to make war and create, we're going to do things to get out of that. Yeah. We're going to take away their gun from them and kill them. So these kids.
Try.
If I was thinking I was black, I would at least go and look up what the man was. Where's there's people around you who look just like you but are not even being subjected like you? Yeah. You're not wondering why?
It's just you're the ones that are from here that just always seem to be getting it. Or like how should I say it?
Yeah.
Just the mistreatment. And then you see, they're your family. I shouldn't use that word. But your kinfolk, right? You know that their life is something different. There's something about it that just, why is it that their treatment is different from yours?
No.
No. But I like that with the brother century.
Yeah.
That round table.
Yeah, that was a good one. Last class we were talking about these Aboriginal indigenous don't call themselves Moors. And there was a brother that was on Brother Rich channel talking about Noble Jwali's a myth and he doesn't even know if he was really Cherokee and all that. One of the Moors sent us a picture of their seal. He has a sweater talking about seal of the Delaware tribe. Seal of the Delaware tribe. Lenny Lenape, New Jersey. And the question we're putting out there is how come these Aboriginal indigenous people have a cross, look like Christian cross to me, Christian cross on their shield or their seal. And if they have a Christian cross on their seal, does that mean that they work with Rome?
It's a tool for measuring water. I guess they're the first people that use it as some kind of religion or something.
No, because I saw Hannibal was explaining something about it too. And he was explaining about it as a form of protection, but the way in which they push it forward, they don't use it for he was explaining it. He was explaining it yesterday.
Yeah, because I know it's a now flooding equipment that placed the cross where the river flooded the previous year or whatever. To mark the spot. And based on your experience, if it's going to go higher or lower. But it's a ruler. It's a ruler first. It's a tool that we use to measure river, the depths of oceans, and stuff like that. Even when they do it now, they're measuring all the way to the bottom, and then they're leveling it out at the actual surface level. So that's still a cross.
Yeah. Before you and then the cross to cross to tell how high it is. Yeah.
But now, like even with because
No.
to have, it's like I was talking with a sister about
I eat it out.
nigger, and the idea of nigger being from Negus and it means king or whatever. But you know, just don't use nigger then. Just say Negus. Instead of don't even go there. Even though we know that has a origin in something pre that word. How about just eliminate that word, use the original word?
Yeah.
Get back to the original, you know. The same thing that I'm looking at with the cross. That after everything that it's been through, and the stigma that it has, to use it as is only gonna cause confusion. Because, you know, talking about the cross, talking about the water level, you know, and these things, you don't have the opportunity to explain these things in your seal. You know what I mean? So, for any more who are on Instagram, any more who are in that world, any people that are finding out about nationality and birthrights and are coming through those platforms, be very wary of people on there telling you that they have some process, they have some papers or whatever that can free you or save you or whatever, without them sending you to rvbaypublications.com. Make sure that if you're in the world of online getting information, that you don't just take it because somebody out there has a fez on, turban on, they got nationality card, and they're saying, you know, do this through us or whatever like that, and because they have a fez or turban, you're riding with them. The charlatan game is getting deeper, right? There's more people trying to play people out of their birthright than ever before. And yeah. Now it's a thing now to get played. Like it's a thing now to go online, get somebody's email, and you know they do whatever. So somebody sent an email about a Shaheed Bey on Instagram, who's doing this same thing with the papers, you know, claiming that, you know, they're part of the whatever. But then when you deal with them, they have their own stuff that they're doing, not even connected to who they're saying they're affiliated with, which is RV Bay Publication. So, you know, and then after they play people, block people and stuff like that. Right? After they play you, block you. So you can't contact them no more. So just be mindful.
Lucky and the community.
Another one again. We heard some Moors finally got a hold of Nakeem Bey with CM Bay's with Clock of Destiny, and they didn't even get to approach him or whatever. This man dipped out ASAP. Right? These are the same people who took CM Bay's stuff off of the Library of Congress registry. They're the same people who took what Charles Mosley Bay brought and put it in their little chambers and stuff like that, trying to keep books away from the public and all that, that they can't, you know what I mean? They can't really deal with it. All right? Peace, yo.
Yeah, they got bites because they never believe no one.
Exactly.
Exactly. They just get those.
They always think.
Walk around in the dark and do what they do like.
Always. Always.
I thought the sun wasn't going to come back.
Yes, sir.
Sister Khalifa.
Yeah, right. Everything good?
Yeah, man. Straight. So you're gonna damage that thing right now.
Huh?
You're heading up to still right.
You want to build up. You know what I mean?
Alright. Do your thing, man.
Can I follow?
No, probably later. I don't know. Probably not. Not today. Yeah. But we'll build, yo. See you out. All right, Mark. Peace, Mark. There's love, bro. Morisma, 2005. There's a documentary out there called Morisma, M-O-R-I-S-M-A. Morisma documents in colorful detail the traditional and religious celebrations of Moors against Christians in the Mexican states of Zacatecas and Jalisco, Z-A-C-A-T-E-C-A-S. Z-A-C-A-T-E-C-A-S. And Jalisco, J-A-L-I-S-C-O. And Morisma there's another thing here, but it's too small. But the other there's another image here that talks about more 2016 Academy Award winning something or the other, more, and it's a movie, and more means mother. That's basically where they're going on with the concept of the movie or something. So a movie named More from 2016, looks like. And the documentary from 2005 called Morisma. I got another email, another message from, oh yeah, right here. So there was people, people always like to go on our videos and plug their whatever they got to plug, right? So some people came on there called Council of Amun. Council of AHMUN. And this was the message that the leader of the whoever was leaving the comments on the video sent after they saw the messages or whatever. How are you, brother? I am the Akan, A-K-K-H-A-N. I received a transcript of a brief exchange between you and one of my pupils who is hosting our new platform. Teachers of Amun, I must say, sadly, that your behavior in that brief moment sold you as one who showcased quite a lack of